Okay, so today we're going to do graphing linear equations. So remember, linear has the word line in it. So we are graphing lines, and all lines are straight, so we're graphing straight lines. So you will need a ruler to make sure they are straight. Okay, so when you are given an equation, you're going to draw up a table, you're going to complete the table, and then you're going to put the points on your graph. Now, in the first few examples, they give you a table. If they do not give you a table, that's the table that we're going to use. We're going to draw up a table and we're going to have 3 points that we're going to find. And the x values that we're going to use are going to be -1, 0 and 1. That's what I want you to do if there's no table. Okay, after you have your table completed, you're going to then plot those points, however many points it is, on the number plane and use a ruler to join them up. Okay, so let's have a look at our first example. So it says for the following, complete the table, so they've given you a table, and graph the equation on a number plane. So they've given us the equation or the rule y equals x plus 3, and they've also given you this table. So we have to complete the table, and we've done these before. So we're going to look at the first x value, which is -1, and write x equals -1. Then we're going to write our rule down next to it, y equals x plus 3. And this time we're going to sub in, and where the x is, we're going to put -1. So it's going to say y equals, and in that spot we're putting -1 plus 3. Then you go to your calculator and you work out -1 plus 3, and that will give you 2. When you get that answer, you put it up here, underneath the -1. Now we're using our next x value of 0. So for x equals 0, we write our rule down, y equals x plus 3. In place of where the x is, this time you're going to put a 0 in for x. So it's going to say y equals, put the 0 in for x, copy the rest of it, plus 3. Work that out on your calculator, and that will give you 3. Then you put that under the 0 that we just used. Now we come down and we use our next x value, which is 1. Copy your rule, y equals x plus 3. So we're going to do y equals, and in place of x this time we're going to write 1. Copy the rest of it, and use your calculator, and you'll get a 4 for that one. And then we've got one more to do. We're going to use x equals 2 this time and copy the rule. This time we're putting 2 in place of x and use your calculator, and that will give you a 5. So once the table is complete, you now have some points. This is your first point, and we've actually got 4 points. So we're going to plot those 4 points. So this first one we're plotting is the point -1, 2. So we're going to go along -1 up 2. Then the next one is 0, 3. So we're going to go along nothing and then up 3. Put a point. Next one is 1, 4. Go along 1, up 4. Put a point. And the last one is 2, 5. Go along 2, up 5. Put a point. And if you look at those 4 points, they are all in a straight line. That means you must have done it right. So now we're going to get our ruler, put it along our 4 points, and we're going to join through them, but we're going to go further than what they've said. We go all the way down here and all the way up. And make sure you've got arrowheads on the end. You probably don't need to take it that far into our writing. And this one goes all the way down there. Put arrowheads on the end of your line. Okay, so now we're going to do the next one. So this time they've given you a rule y equals x over 2, and they've given you this table. So we're going to do what we did before. We're going to take our first x value of 0, write it down, x equals 0. Write your rule down, y equals x over 2. So now, I'm going to write y equals, in place of x, we're going to write 0. And then just go to your calculator fraction key, press the fraction key, pressing 0 over 2 equals, and it will give you 0. So we can complete that in the table. Now we go to the next x value, which is 1, and copy our rule down, y equals x over 2. And if we do that, just wait till the music finishes. Okay, so we're now going to put a 1 in for x. So 1 in for x. And if you put that in your calculator fraction key, it will just stay as 1 over 2. The answer is a half. So we're going to just leave that one as a half and rule it off. We don't need that extra line. We'll get rid of that. Okay, the next, we better put that in our table. So that's a half going in here. All right, the next one is x equals 2. And there's our rule, y equals x over 2 they gave us. So where you see the x, you're going to write a 2. So it'll look like that now. So if you go to your fraction key and press in 2 over 2 equals, you're going to get a 1. And then we can put that in the table. So now we have 1, 2, 3 points. The first point here is 0, 0. Our next point is 1 1/2. And our last point is 2, 1. So I've been sort of already drawing the number planes up for you, but all you have to do when you're drawing it up is go, all right, well, let's look at the x's. The smallest and the biggest x is from 0 to 2. So I've drawn my x-axis to go from 0 to 2. Then the y's, the smallest is 0 and the biggest is 1. So I've drawn my y to go from 0 to 1. Now I have put in a halfway point at a half because we're going to need that, but if you don't do that, it's still fine. Okay, so now we're going to plot the point. 0, 0 is right in the middle at the origin. 1 1/2, go along 1, up a half. And the last one, 2, 1, go along 2, up 1. Then you need to get your ruler. And you need to join through your points. And just go past those points as well and put your arrowheads on the end. Okay, let's look at the next question. Now, number 2 says, graph each linear equation on a number line. So they've got a little hint in here telling you that these are going to be lines. All right, I'm going to end up graphing it on the number plane with the x and y axis, but it will be a line, just like the other ones are. All right, so this time they've given you the rule, but no table. So we're going to do our own table. So we're going to make up our table, and this is the table I told you I want you to do. All right, so we're going to use that one if there's no table. Let me just move this across a bit. All right, so let's have a look. All right, so we've got our first x value that we've decided is -1. Sorry, just move this a little bit. Okay, so x equals -1. Write down your rule next to it, y equals 2x plus 1. Okay, so we are going to be putting -1 in for x. All right, now don't forget that when you're doing this, you've got a little times in between the number and the letter. So don't forget about that. So we have y equals 2 times. We're going to put -1 in for x in that spot and keep going with your rule. Now don't forget that all of that can be done on your calculator in one go. So you just do 2 times -1 plus 1 equals. And it should give you an answer of -1. And then we put that answer up under there. Let's take the next one. X equals 0. So we're writing our rule down. Y equals 2x plus 1. Don't forget to put the times in between your number and your letter. And let's sub in now. So we're doing y equals 2 times, and x is 0 this time, so putting a 0 in. and put all that in your calculator. 2 times 0 plus 1 will give you a 1, and put the answer up in your table here. And now let's take the last x value, which is 1, and write your rule down. Don't forget the times. And now let's sub in. So we have y equals 2 times, our x is 1 this time. Copy the rest of it and use your calculator. 2 times 1 plus 1 will give you 3. Okay, now we're ready to graph that one. I'll just move this other one out of the way. I'll just move this over a bit. Okay, so we're now ready to graph this. Okay, so let's have a look. Our x's go from -1 to 1. Okay, so we're going to make sure that we have a number plane drawn up so that we can cope with all the numbers that we need. All right, so the x's, we're going to go from -1 to 1. So not very far. I'm going to make this 0 here in the middle, -1 and 1. So I'm going to draw my line for y straight through here. So this is my x, 0, -1 and 1. Okay, now the y's. The y's go from -1 up to 3. So for our y-axis, we need to come down 1 unit to -1. And then we need to go up to 3. 2, 3. Mark all of those numbers on. And don't forget it's the y-axis, so make sure you label it. All right, now we're plotting our points on here. So, here's our first point, -1, -1. So go along -1, down -1. There's your point. Next one, 0, 1. We don't go anywhere, then we go up 1, put a point. 1, 3, along 1 and up 3, put a point. Now they should all look like they're in a straight line if you haven't made any mistakes. So we're going to join them and go straight through, a bit further than those points. Put your arrowheads on the end, and that's that one finished. So we're going to have to go one more. Whoops. So we're going to do for B, y equals -x minus 3. Now we have no table, so I want you to draw the table I told you to draw before. So we're going to make it x and y -1, 0 and 1 on the top for the x values. And now our rule's going to let us try and find the y values that match up with those. So let's take our first x value, -1. Write your rule down next to it. Okay, so we're going to put -1 in for x. Now be careful here. It's only going to go in that spot. So I might write it in different colours so you can see it. So we've got y equals minus. In place of x, we're writing -1. And let's keep going with -3. All right, now your calculator will deal with this. You just need to press that in. Minus, -1, -3. Okay, the calculator will deal with it. And it will give you the answer of -2. We're going to put that up underneath the number, so we've started to complete our table. All right, the next one, x equals 0. Okay, our rule, y equals -x minus 3. All right, subbing in, y equals minus, x is 0 this time. Put that in your calculator, and you'll get -3. And we put it up there. All right, one more. X equals 1. That's our next number. So we're writing our rule down. Y equals -x minus 3. And let's start putting it in. So it's minus. Just 1 goes in for x this time. -3. Use your calculator and you'll get -4 for that last one. So now we're up to plotting these points. So we've got 1 point, Hope you still see that one there. Let's write it in again. 2 points and 3 points. So we're going to draw up our number plane. Remember that we've got x's from -1 to 1. So let's draw it up. -1, 0 and 1. Y-axis is going to go through where I was putting the 0. Okay, -1, 0 and 1, that's our x-axis. And our y-axis only is -2, -3, -4. So I don't know why I left that big space up there, because we don't have any y's that are positive. You don't really need all of that. But if you do it, it doesn't really matter. We need a little bit of a space up there. All right, now we're only going down as far as -4. So just make sure you go down far enough. Whoops. Okay, so now it's a bit like getting all your ingredients ready for you to cook something. Okay, you've got to have it all ready first, have your x and y labelled, and then you can plot your points. Okay, so -1, -2. Along -1, down -2. Next one, 0, -3. Along nothing, down -3. And the last one is the point 1, -4. Along 1, down -4. Put a point. Those 3 points should look like they're in a straight line if you've done it right. Then put your ruler against them. Hopefully it'll be a bit more accurate than mine. Look at that. Nowhere near it. Might just move it a bit. That's just my inaccurate graphing. Alright, should be about there. Okay, and we draw straight through our points. Put your arrowheads on the end of your line. And that's your graph finished. Okay, now the next thing I want to talk to you about, I'm going to give you notes in the next video on this, but I'll just show you here because I want to be able to rub all of this off. And it's talking about increasing and decreasing graphs. So let's just go back over to where we were. Now, if you look at the first graph that we drew, which was this one, as you look at this from left to right, this is what the graph's doing. It's going up. So if it's going up as you look at it from left to right, we call that an increasing graph. Okay, let's look at the next one. The next one we did was this one. As you look at it from left to right, look what it's doing. It's going up. It's another increasing graph. Let's look at the next one. This was our next one. Okay, as you look at this one from left to right, what's it doing? It's going up. So it's another increasing graph. All right, now let's look at this one. As you look at it from left to right, what's it doing? It's going down. That one is a decreasing graph. So in the next video, we're going to come back and I'll just write the notes down on that, but you can see for yourself what increasing and decreasing means.